2024 was a busy year for music, with many releases from a wide range of artists, some mainstream like Taylor Swift, Charlie XTX, and Billie Eilish, some not as mainstream like Porter Robinson, MGMT, and Joywave. I didn't try listening to every popular album like I did in previous years because honestly that's just really exhausting and time consuming and makes listening to music a lot less fun. Instead, I focused mainly on music by bands and artists I already knew and liked. Not to say I didn't listen to anything else, I did check out some popular albums, but it wasn't really my major priority. Also, ignore that I'm talking about my favorite albums from 2024 when we're halfway into 2025. Time is a social construct anyway, so yeah. Anyways, these 5 albums are the ones that really stuck with me the most and ones I still often listen to. Keep in mind, everything I say here is just my opinion, and these are what I personally found to be the best albums released last year in 2024. If you disagree, let me know, and I may or may not debate you in the comments. Starting off at number 5 is the latest album from electronic and dance pop producer Kygo. It's called Kygo. It's a self-titled record. This is one of those albums that was a bit disappointing for me at first, but it actually grew on me to the point where I now love it. It may not be the most consistent or unique sounding of his albums, but it is still full of great electronic sounds, beautiful piano playing, and strong vocals from a variety of singers. My favorite song on here is Kygo's remix of Wait by M83, which was originally released in 2014, but not officially released until 2024 with this version. It is an extremely satisfying song, and is best described as feels like you're floating out into space, but in a peaceful and good way. It improves on the original and adds Kygo's signature chill melodic sound. Another favorite of mine on here is Found Another Love. This one actually took me by surprise with how much I liked it. This could kind of be considered one of 3 filler tracks, which are tracks that feature uncredited vocals, which are probably from some sort of sample pack. The song is simple and it has the same vocal line repeated, but the build-up is very satisfying and it has an addictive sound that makes me want to play it again and again. The last favorite song I'll mention is Let Go, featuring singer Sasha Alex Sloan, who also featured on This Town and I'll Wait. While this isn't quite as good as I'll Wait, which is an absolute banger and one of my favorite Kygo songs ever, this song has great vocals and a really great chill-sounding beat that is reminiscent of Kygo's epic track, Freeze, from 2022. Seeing Kygo live also really made me appreciate the album more. The concert was very fun and it contained mesmerizing and colorful visuals, a career-spanning setlist, and guest appearances from several singers. This album may not be the most unique or creative, but it is still another great Kygo album and is both satisfying and memorable. Number 4 is From Zero by legendary alternative/hard rock band Linkin Park. The name was inspired by Linkin Park's original name, Zero, with an X instead of a Z, and this serves as a grand return of the band after the tragic 2017 suicide of Chester Bennington. Chester was a legend, and he will always be missed by millions of people, and of course, he cannot be replaced, but new singer Emily Armstrong does a really great job of carrying on Linkin Park's legacy. I will admit, I was a bit wary at first during the first few songs in the live stream they did, but after some time her voice has really grown on me, and her vocals and especially her screams show that she is an excellent fit for the band. The songs on the new album also fit her voice well, and they serve as both a return to their roots and somewhat of a new sound as well. My favorite song on here is also the lead single, The Emptiness Machine. It does an amazing job of introducing us to the new Linkin Park, starting with Mike Shinoda's vocals before switching off to Emily, who then sings most of the song with Mike doing some rapping and backing vocals. This just feels so Linkin Park. Anyone who is like, this is just a cover band, it's not actually Linkin Park, is honestly delusional, because even though Chester is gone, that doesn't mean the band can't continue to honor his legacy. Mike Shinoda was arguably just as important in the band as Chester. Not to devalue Chester though, as I said earlier, he's a legend and he can never be truly replaced, but again, that doesn't suddenly make this a cover band. Anyway, getting back on track, another favorite of mine is the absolute banger, Heavy as a Crown. This has a sound that feels inspired by Faint from Meteora, especially the intros of both songs. The drumming and guitar on this song are on fire. Also, the transitions are very smooth and satisfying, and Emily's screams are just awesome. This song is the perfect song to play when you're angry or working out. It practically gives you the strength to punch through walls. Don't do that, though, of course. Punch your pillow instead like a civilized human. Come on, don't punch walls. The last favorite I'll mention here is Cut the Bridge. This one is pretty similar to Heavy as a Crown in terms of energy levels, and I don't have much else to say, but this is just another banger. Overall, From Zero is a really strong album which showcases the band's chemistry and shows that even with Chester gone, they can still be great. Rest in peace, Chester. Number 3 is The Phantom 5 by the alternative rock band Awolnation. This is another one of those albums that really grew on me. When the first few singles were released, I enjoyed them, but I was honestly a bit disappointed. But by the time the album was released, I grew to appreciate those singles, and I also really loved almost all the tracks on here. This album really just has the signature Awolnation sound. It has a mix of electronic rock and pop, and even has some rap, like in the song I Am Happy. It's a great mix of upbeat party-like songs. I mean, there's literally a song called Party People, and slower songs like A Letter to No One and Barbarian, which have the perfect vibe for late nights, especially like late night driving. This album is like perfect for that. My favorite song on here is definitely Barbarian. It's just extremely satisfying to the ears, and the sound also reminds me a bit of their album Run. I feel like this song will be super nostalgic in a few years, with the slowish tempo, the calm vocals, and the subtle but great background synth, which help make this possibly one of Awolnation's best songs. Another favorite is When I Was Young. This song has a super infectious and upbeat sound with lyrics about Aaron looking back to when he was young, hence the title, and it's just a really fun song. Overall, this album did not disappoint. Awolnation again delivered a really creative and great album that really shows their unique sound. The only downside is it's a bit short, but that just makes you want to listen to it more and more. I saw Awolnation recently live again on their Phantom 5 tour, and unfortunately, they only played 3 songs from the new album, which was pretty disappointing, and they were only singles, but the performance did have a ton of energy and was really fun overall, and I love Awolnation. They're a great band. And they still sound great live, but I feel like without live keyboards or synth, they just don't sound quite as good as they do in the studio. Like, it feels like something is missing, you know? Not to say that they're bad live or anything, like, they're still great, but there's just, you can't quite get that charm as much live, I feel like, right now. Especially with the lineups changing. And as I experienced by hearing the songs on this album live, they were still great, but the production on this album and then their music in general is very underrated and really well done. Like, the production, especially on like the Phantom 5 and like Megalithic Symphony or like Run, like most of their albums really, it's just really smooth, and like the electronic sound and just like the synth just sounds so good, and it's just super underrated, really. Moving on. So deciding what would be my number 1 and number 2 albums was extremely difficult because I really love both of these albums, and both of these artists were my favorite concerts I went to last year, but ultimately I had to pick the order, and while they're basically tied for me, at number 2 is Smile by Porter Robinson. I got into Porter Robinson sometime in 2023 after having known some of his songs like Language, Sad Machine, and Shelter, but I hadn't really looked into his discography yet at the time. I got super obsessed with his music, and when the first single from Smile released, Cheerleader, I couldn't stop listening to it, and I still listen to it really often because it's just an absolute banger about parasocial relationships with fans and how he ultimately needs his fans to keep going, and the music video is also super silly in the best way possible. Porter said he was originally aiming to make this a happy and fun album, but it ended up changing along the way, and I would say it's a mix of that, but also deep emotions and feelings. For example, Russian Roulette is an epic 6.5-minute song which goes into themes of depression and suicidal thoughts, with a crazy build-up with Porter reminiscing on the great things in his life and how he doesn't want to die, he wants to keep living. It's just really great. It's just an insane experience listening to it, and seeing it live was crazy with so much energy. He played all the songs from this album, and it was such an excellent concert, maybe the best one I've ever been to, and I've been to a lot of concerts. Honestly, more artists should play like the entire new albums when they're touring. Like, just playing like 3 songs from your new album your tour is named after is like, what are you doing? Or even worse, be like Journey, who plays like 0, absolute nothing of their newer songs. And it's like, yeah, I get people want the original like Steve Perry songs, and like that's what they're known for, but like, you're a singer, you have 3 albums with him and you don't play any of those songs almost ever. It's like, what are you doing? I could go on and on about every song on here, but I won't because I don't want this video going on for too long. But it's an amazing, near-perfect album, and I cannot praise it enough. Porter Robinson is just a genius musician. It's incredible the emotion he packs in his music, not even just through the lyrics, but through the sound as well. Before I get to my number 1 album of last year, I want to mention a few honorable mentions that didn't quite make the list. So one of them is Loom by Imagine Dragons. This was honestly quite disappointing to me as a big Imagine Dragons fan, and overall, it was not bad, it just didn't really stick with me that much. It's also super short, like it's literally shorter than an EP, which is kind of insane. Seeing the concert film of the Loom tour earlier this year did make me appreciate the album a little bit more, but I just wish the songs were more complex and longer. The cover art is absolutely beautiful, but this album is still just my least favorite from the band. Another one is Sink Your Teeth by Neon Trees. This is an album I've only listened to a couple of times, but several of the songs I have listened to a lot since they released, and they're just super catchy and just fun songs. They may not be the most complex, but their songs are really fun and entertaining, and this album definitely continues that. I also saw them live opening for 311 in August of last year, and they played several songs from this album, which had not been released yet at the time, and they had a ton of energy in their performance. It was really good. The last album I want to mention before moving on to my number 1 album is Talos by Zed, one of my favorite electronic musicians. I was quite disappointed on a first listen, but it has grown on me quite a bit, especially after seeing Zed live. He played drums on several songs from the album, which I was not expecting at all. That was really cool. I didn't even realize he could play drums, and he played them very well. This album is not quite as catchy and pop-focused as his previous albums, but it is still quite an interesting listen nonetheless. Anyways, that's enough waffling about inferior albums. My favorite album released in 2024 was Clancy by alternative rock band 21 Pilots. The lead up to the release of this album was insane. It was the first 21 Pilots album release where I was a big fan, as I didn't really start listening to them heavily until around 2022 when I got obsessed with Vessel and then went through all their other music. Honestly, every song on here is really great. There's no misses on the tracklist at all. The first single and opening track on here, Overcompensate, starts the album off with a bang, connecting back to Trench with Solo Folina and Welcome Back to Trench. The hard rock sound from Trench is back, but arguably better on this album. Clancy takes elements from all their albums and sort of mashes them together to create a masterpiece. While I won't go through the entire tracklist because that would take a while, I want to mention a few more standout tracks. Next Semester is a really powerful song about a potential suicide attempt, connecting thematically back to songs like Truce and Taxicab from Vessel and Self-Titled respectively. Vignette is another banger that has an epic synth solo with great vocals and drumming, although nearly every track on here has great vocals and drumming except the Craving Jenna's version, which is a ballad without any drumming, but still, you get my point. It also has some really strong imagery in the lyrics which connects to the lore. Another song that I love is Lavish, just a super fun and chill song where the band does not take themselves seriously at all, but also using the somewhat silly lyrics to make fun of rich stuck-up celebrities who see everyone beneath them as lesser. Oldie Station is a really sweet song about pushing on through and realizing how you are changing and maturing, specifically also connecting to Tyler's experience as a father. Finally, the last song, Paladin Straight, is the longest 21 Pilots song ever, and is absolutely epic, with an ending where Tyler, aka Clancy, meets up directly with Nico. And that's where the story ends for now. But the story definitely seems to continue in their upcoming album, Breach, releasing later this year in September. This was honestly a surprise announcement. I was not thinking they would be releasing another album this soon, but hey, I'll take it. More 21 Pilots music is always good. While a lot of 21 Pilots lore honestly confuses me as it can be pretty complicated, I'm pretty excited to see where the lore goes on this next album. This tracklist not only has a ton of great songs, but it's also in a really smart order. While it's not quite a concept album, throughout the album you can really hear a sense of growth and change and just progression. From Flying By the Dangerous Bend Symbol in Overcompensate to not minding how long red lights are taking in Oldie Station. I could honestly go on for a long time about the lyrics and the lore. I really recommend searching up some videos explaining 21 Pilots lore. It's quite complicated but also extremely interesting. To summarize the lore simply, Tyler is Clancy and he has been stuck in Dima, which represents his mental health, and Trench is the spot outside Dima where people are free from the oppressive bishops found in Dima. But everything in the lore seems to mirror how real-life mental health works. You can't just instantly become better and never have problems again, that's just not how it works. Sometimes you get dragged back into things like depression, represented by Dima and Nico/Blurryface, and really it's a lifelong journey. If you couldn't tell by now, yeah, I'm a very big 21 Pilots fan, and hopefully with this you can see why. I didn't even mention seeing them live for the first time on the Clancy tour, which was an absolutely amazing experience, and one of the best concerts I've ever been to. It was wild, like the production and like the visuals and like the special effects and like Tyler disappearing and reappearing, and there was like there's so much. I don't want to get all into that, but it was an amazing concert for sure, and I really wish I could see them again. They have the Breach tour, but they don't have any dates in my state, which is really sad, but maybe next time. I mean, I wasn't even expecting them to release another album, so like that's pretty cool, I guess, but like still, I need to see 21 Pilots live again. Anyways, make sure to let me know what your favorite albums released last year were, as well as any albums from this year you've been enjoying so far. I've really been enjoying Unity by Yost, who I discovered through Eurovision last year. That's probably my favorite album this year and might continue to be my favorite album. It's really good. It's like Dutch pop, but like it's so much more than that. It's really good. I also really enjoyed the new Skrillex album quite a bit, and that honestly surprised me because I hated the 2 albums he released in 2023. But this new one was quite interesting and had some really good songs that I enjoyed. The concept also was really cool, like everything like flowed into each other and like it really makes sense to listen to it in a row, so that was really cool. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, please like and subscribe, and additionally, if you want, you can become a channel member to support me and access videos early, plus see some members-only videos like behind the scenes, bloopers, and various archive videos. I am generally very slow at finishing videos, so sorry about that, but I swear I am trying to work on some stuff, and eventually, maybe soon, I will get some more videos out. I don't know. Anyways, see you in the next video. Bye.